happy Wednesday. So how is everybody doing tonight? I was having some technical issues earlier, so hopefully everything will be okay. All of a sudden I had like the internet was like wonko. We've had a lot of rain here the last couple days, so sometimes it affects internet, like your cabling and stuff outside. So I'm hoping that it'll be okay tonight. So hi everybody. People are still coming in. That's awesome. Hope everybody's doing well today. And that people were talking about doing some quilting and now they have to do the hi Teresa. Hello from Colorado. It's cold there. I wish it's cooler here. Now it's been very hot. So Teresa's one of my friends that was a local student that just moved away to Colorado. So now she comes and watches me on Shield on live and on So Long with Jan. So that's cool. You've been busy. Oh yeah. Well, I've been, a lot of people have been busy. People are talking about being busy. Okay. Now I see. Can't wait to see the penguin pillow. Okay. So that's what we're going to do tonight is the little penguin pillow. Let me grab him here. Here he is. So I made this like the size of the like the bench buddies, like the little 8-inch pillow. I just thought he was cute because I wanted the square in the middle to be about the same size as this. So if you can notice, I made him out of the fabric. So this is the quilt that I did. Some of you that are new probably have never seen this quilt. This quilt I did about 3 years ago, maybe 4. It was in the summer. I can't remember. It might've been about 4 years ago. But this is called May Your Days Be Merry and Bright. Okay. So the reason I wanted to make this is I thought we needed a little pillow to go with it. And one of the things I wanted to make in this, and I just didn't find a graphic I liked, is I wanted a little penguin. I like penguins. So this little Redwork quilt is done a lot the way this little penguin pillow is going to be. And I thought this would go with it nicely. And I had some of the fabric left from this quilt. My original quilt that I made was a little darker. This was kind of my sample quilt that I made up to test the, hi Carol, hi everybody. And I love Redwork too. So these were really fun. So the way this is made, and let me get the banner turned off because I want to put something else up for you. Just a second here. I have a lot of buttons here. Just a second. They keep changing things on StreamYard. Okay, so let me turn on this button for a minute. So this is my website, and you can buy this whole pattern, and it has a whole set of videos. Plus I did live videos on May Your Days Be Merry and Bright, and all of the designs. And then this quilt is done traditionally. So like you piece it, you do all the embroidery and then you piece it together. But then I also digitized all the quilting for you, and you quilt it in the embroidery machine. So it's made to be quilted in the embroidery machine. So if you're interested in the quilt, it's called May Your Days Be Merry and Bright. I got the little block right here, and it's up on my website. So this is my website where you can get it if you're interested in making the quilt. And you get a set of videos that are like not live with the when you buy the quilt. And then I also have a set of live videos too. So if you'd rather watch, the live videos too, I have 2 sets of videos for this. Okay. So, or if you want to go see the live videos, you can kind of see how I did it. And then you can see if it might be something that you'd like to do. Since it's kind of Christmas in July, we're still in July, right? This was a really fun quilt to do. And it's small. It's like, it's about 40 by 48, something like that. It's not real big. So I really like it. It was fun. It was really fun. It was a lot of work because I did a lot. It took me a while to do it. So I'm trying to check out the comments here. Just a second. Oh yeah, I love the penguins too. So anyway, we're going to make this tonight. Redwork is fun to do. I love to digitize Redwork. So this was just something that I thought, I just need a pillow to go with my little quilt. And I just thought it would be fun to give you a little freebie. And we're going to actually make the whole pillow tonight. We're going to sew it together and everything. It doesn't take long and it's very easy. So Yeah, Redwork is really fun to do and it's not hard. But this is where you go. I put it up on the screen there. Sew along with Jan with dashes, sew dash along dash with dash Jan dot square dot site is my website where you can get this is free. So I'll have this linked in the video description below. You get this for free. But then if you want to make the quilt to go with it, this is the quilt. So anyway, it was a lot of fun. I did that about the time my dad passed away, right before I went to stay with him. So I think it was in the summer of, it must have been the summer of 2021 that I did it. So it was 4 years ago. So, all right. Yeah. So we're going to do this tonight. So we're going to make this. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you before we get started on the quilts, let me get this one down. Let me get that little banner down. Okay. And the other thing I wanted to show you is I got the little, from last class, I got the little gingerbread girl. A lot of people wanted a gingerbread girl ornament. That I got finished and I put it up on my website, the one that I just took down, sew dash along dash with dash Jan dot square dot site. And you can also buy this little design. And then this little guy is the freebie. And I'll put him in the description below this video too. So this is the one we did a couple weeks ago. And then this is the little girl that everybody asked for. So I got her done too. So there's something else for you fun. Okay. So I got those done. And then at the end, I'll show you what we're going to do. We're actually going to have class next week as well. So I can get back on schedule with my first and third. Aren't they cute? And the little ornaments are so much fun. I might do some more of those because they're kind of fun to do. And I might do some other ones to make into a little set, for Christmas. So those were kind of fun. Okay, let's see. So what we'll do is next week on the 6th of August, we will also have a class to get back on the regular schedule after my little vacation in July. So we'll have class 2 weeks in a row. So don't forget to come back and see us next week while we're on. And we're going to do another little project that I made these years ago, and they were really fun. And we're going to make dishcloth scrubbies. And I'll show that to you at the end of the class so you can see what that looks like. And they're really fun. And I have a couple of sets of those too. So if you like making those, they're really fun to do. And I haven't done them for a long time. One of the first projects I did years and years ago when I started working at the store. So anyway, that'll be fun. Oh, yeah. with the bite taken out of it. Well, that's one of the things that I'm going to show you in a little bit, Carol, will be with the bite taken out of it. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started on our little pillow. So we're actually going to make this whole pillow tonight. We're going to embroider it, and then we're going to sew it together. Okay. So let me get down here. What is the pumpkin wall hanging behind you? Oh, this one. This is a Janine Babish. I got my head in front of it right now. It's called With a Grateful Heart. And I actually did that as a class. So it's on my channel. So if you go to Sew Along with Jan and just type in With a Grateful Heart, it should come up. Or Grateful Heart, it should come up. Because that was a class I did. It's been several years ago. But that was a fun one to do. It's Janine Babish is the maker on that one. So, okay. All right. So let's see. I'm going to get you switched over to the other camera here. And let's get started on our little pillow. So we'll have lots of fun doing this. I got to get my microphone changed. So just a second here. StreamYard likes to change things. So hopefully you'll be able to hear me in a minute. Okay. So hopefully you can see me. Looks like you can. Turn my little desk around here so you can see a little better. Okay. Always have to get everything organized. I have kind of a funny little spot on the edge of my desk here. And so sometimes my little thing doesn't roll very well. Need some likes and shares. Yeah, thanks, Carol. That really helps me a lot on my YouTube channel, by the way, if you like and share my videos. So it really helps me. So I would really appreciate any help. So that would be great if you could do that. It doesn't cost you anything to help me like that. So, okay. So we're going to talk about, this design is up on, the link to this will be in the description below this video. Okay. And this is a free design. It's up on Dropbox. And I will send you. So what you get is the design itself, and you also get the instructions. There's about 5 different formats, so most of you should be covered in the formats that I put in there. So you should be fine. Hopefully you can hear me okay. So I switched my microphone over, so you should be able to hear me okay. Is this the new machine? No, this is my Luminaire. I'm using my Luminaire. My other machine, my Avenir, is at the store right now, so I've been using my Luminaire here at home. So okay, so you will have this instruction sheet to do the this little pillow. And basically you just need a few pieces of fabric. You don't need a whole lot. You need some background fabric. So I have this white with the little snowflakes on it. I don't know if you can see it very well. This white with the little snowflakes on it. I think that's what I used in my, yeah, that's what I used in my quilt. So I did still have a little of it left. So it's white with little snowflakes. It's tone on tone. And then that is 7 by 7. So just cut it 7 by 7 square. And then you need a piece of batting. And this is some of my scraps of Hobbs 80/20. And it's 7 by 7 as well. So in the batting. And then you need a couple of other pieces. So we're going to need the backing fabric is going to be this. You need 2 pieces that are 6.5 by 8.5. And that's what this is here. Whoops, second here. I want to lose my little pieces. These are the borders. So these are my backing pieces. And I actually went ahead and hemmed mine. So you're going to be hemming them on the one of the 8.5 inch sides. And if you have directional fabric, make sure you lay it down so that you can tell if it looks right. Because sometimes, you know, your fabric will be directional, and if you don't lay it out when you're hemming them, you won't know if it looks okay together. So this one's not really directional, but I usually tell people that because I have had directional fabric and made a mistake and gotten something upside down. So, oh yes, yeah. Can you see that some of the stuff's wearing off on my machine? I have acidic skin, and so a lot of times my buttons wear off. So Tim told me, my boss told me he could get me some new buttons. I might get some new buttons for across here just because they're pretty much worn off, and I know what buttons they are. But so no, I'm not using the Avenir, Susan. My Avenir is at the store, and I teach at home. So this is my home studio, and I've got my Luminaire here. So okay. All right, so here is our backing pieces. And these, like I said, I already pre-hemmed these, so you didn't have to sit there and watch me hem. So, and oh, you know what? Give me just a second. I'm going to plug my iron in real quick because I might need my iron here in a second. Just a second. Okay. I might need my iron at the end, so we'll see. So I thought I'd better have it plugged in. So we got our backing pieces, and then you need some border pieces. So there's little borders around the outside edge. Oh, do I sell these? No, I don't sell my little stickers, but when anybody wins something, I always put a sticker in with the prize. So these I don't sell them. I don't really have that many of them, so but they are kind of cute. I make these with my foiling machine. I love the foiling, so it's fun. All right, so oh, and by the way, we're going to have a drawing at the end of the class. So remember, you get entered to win by making a comment. All you have to do is make a comment, and you will be entered to win in the drawing. And the drawing will be the pillow we're going to make, the pillow cover. I don't have another pillow. I only had one left. So I'll send you the pillow cover. And at the end, I'll show you how to make the little pillow form. If you don't have one, you can make it out of muslin. That works really well. Oh yeah, to put something over the top of them. Yeah, because I just have acidic skin. That's what everybody tells me, and that's why I wear the buttons off. So even my can you see the black one over here? That's the needle threader. It's wearing off too. So yeah. Hi, Cindy. All right, so we need these little border pieces too. So we need two that are 1 3/4 by 6 inches. So there's two of these. I have 4 different patterns for my fabric. So like here's the 2 shorter ones. You need 2 of those. And then you need 2 that are 1 3/4 by 8.5. So these 2 are the longer ones. Okay. So those are the other 2 pieces. So those are the colors that were in the quilt. And I wanted to have the little borders around my pillow to be different, all different colors. And this was, so this was just kind of fabric I had at home. The actual quilt was done in kind of burgundy and a darker green, a couple of other prints. It was really, really cute. And this was sort of my fabric that I grabbed out of my stash. And I just made one up to try to make sure the instructions were okay and the patterns were okay and everything. So this was my test quilt that I keep here. The other one's at the store, but I have my test quilt here. So anyway, I didn't have any of the other fabric left. So my little pillow matches the quilt that's here. So and I didn't have any of that other fabric left. This was basically because I had to make two. I made one for the instructions and one in the live class. So I had to have two full quilts out of that. So this one I have a little bit left. So isn't it cute though? So anyway, this was my practice quilt. Okay, and then we got our batting and everything. You need either a 6x10 hoop, or the design will fit in a 6x6. And this happens to be my 6x6 hoop that I have in here. So I'm going to use that tonight. I have hooped a piece of no-show mesh stabilizer. So that's just a piece of no-show mesh in the hoop. I'm going to tip this down a little bit. Okay, so my no-show mesh is in my 6x6 hoop. Some of you may not have the 6x6, but you have the 6x12 or the 6x10. This is the 6x10, and it also fits in here. It's just a little longer. I like this little 6x6 hoop. It's not quite 6x6. It's like 5.9 by 5.9. But this one's small enough to fit in here. So, okay, so let's go grab our design here. So that's what we got all of our stuff. Let me get my little borders over here so I won't lose them. My instructions. All right, give me a second. I want to go get my design. So let's go get our design. And I actually sent this over via design database transfer wirelessly. So I'm going to go into my wireless icon here. And here's my little guy right here. Okay. And we're going to set him and embroidery. So he's about 5.5 inches square, the little center piece. Okay. So we're just going to embroider the centerpiece and quilt the centerpiece. And then the rest of it, this part of the pillow wasn't quilted. It's just the centerpiece, but this is a very small border. So I thought it didn't really need to be quilted. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's see. What does it said to do? So we hooped our no-show mesh in a 6x6 or a 6x10 hoop. Okay. Oh, cool. Did you get the reminder? You got Carol, you got the reminder about the live? Yeah, because if you ask it to remind you, you can get the reminders and it will help you to remember to come to the class at the time. So that's kind of nice when you do that. All right. So the first step, what does it say to do? It says the first step is going to be the batting placement line. So we're going to sew that out. I'm going to use some white thread and some red thread. So I've only got 2 colors of thread. Hi, Lynn. So we're going to sew out step number 1, and that's just going to be our placement line for our batting. Okay, so now did you notice, and this happens sometime when you're just sewing on batting, did you notice that this didn't catch? Okay, that sometimes happens. So for me to fix that, I'm going to show you how to fix it. And it happens so often when you're just sewing on batting. I'm going to reach down here to my bobbin thread, and I do have a pre-wound bobbin in here, And I have my tight bobbin case. So I have the bobbin case with the purple dot in it because I'm using a pre-wound embroidery bobbin thread. If you're not using a pre-wound, you can use your standard one. If you wind your own, you can use the standard bobbin case, but I'm using my tight one. So this is what I do if that happens, if it doesn't catch. I'm going to put this in and I'm going to put the thread in like I normally do. But when I get down here, I'm going to not cut this off. Okay, I'm going to leave that tail down there so that it has something a little bit thicker to hang on to, or longer to hang on to. And then we're going to go back over here and we're going to back up. So I can just go back over here. We can hit the negative, positive needle. I'm just going to back up to the beginning of the design. Okay, and then we're going to try it again. We'll see if it works better this time. I bet it does. But I'm having a little trouble with my camera tonight. Okay, so I'm going to hit that and let's see if that works better. So what happens so often when the machine cuts and you cut off that little, see, it just caught right away. So what happens is that the tail end of the embroidery bobbin thread is so short that sometimes it just doesn't catch it, especially when it doesn't have much to sew through. So if it's sewing through fabric, it's usually better. So you like the little design? Everybody's liking the little design. It's really cute. I just wanted to do some more red work, and I thought, this will be a fun little thing to add to my quilt. So go check out May Your Days Be Merry and Bright. All right, so now we're going to lay our batting down over this placement line, and I'm just going to keep using my white. Second, I got another thread here. Okay, I'm going to lay that down. And I'm going to sew out step number 2, and it's going to tack our batting down. And it's probably going to go around it twice. Yeah, usually, sometimes that will happen, Krista, that it will not catch the bobbin thread, but it's normally because the tail is too short. And it kind of depends on what fabric you're sewing on. Like if I'm sewing on regular fabric, it doesn't really happen much. It's usually when I'm sewing on stabilizer, which I do quite often. So, but I'll just be sewing on a piece of stabilizer. Okay, so we went around it twice. And then what we're going to do is we're going to trim. It says to trim the batting close to the stitches. So we're going to take these little Ginger double curved scissors. They get nice and close. They got nice tips on them. And we're just going to trim all the way around close to the stitches. And I really like the Hobbs batting. And the reason I do, it's a little bit loftier. So when it goes to do the stippling, you can see the texture a little bit more. Some cotton batting is a little bit flatter, so you don't see it as much. And I just always have liked Hobbs, and that's what I use in my long arm too. So I always have lots of scraps. Okay. So we're going to trim all the way around here, like that, close to the stitches. Oh yeah, this will be really cute for a little kid because it's just a really nice small little pillow. I love penguins, and I don't know why I didn't put a penguin in that. I don't think I could find, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. I don't think I could find a penguin that I liked at the time, and so I found this one here, and I stuck it in the pattern in the folder with all the patterns, thinking I'd do something else with it. So, oh yeah, I am using red. It is called Redwork. You can call it black work. I am using red thread though. So then the next thing we have to do after we cut around the batting. Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate that. It's been very damp here, and that really bothers me, so I sneeze a lot. Okay, we are going to lay the background fabric over the batting. So this piece of background fabric, I'm going to check it to make sure I got it right side up. Okay, and we're just going to kind of center it the best we can over the batting, like that. Okay, and then step number 3 is going to be the background fabric tack down. So it's just going to tack this fabric down. And I just did the best I could to get it centered. We're going to trim it off before we sew it together. So now see, this time it caught just fine, but I also got more fabric on there. Lori, it could be done into a wall hanging, but it is quite small. So it's only about 5.5 inches square. So you could do some little thing with it and hang it up like in a frame or something. Yeah. Hello, everybody. All right. So then we're ready to do, we got it all tacked down. Now the next step, which is step number 4, will be the stippling around the outside edge. So we're going to stipple it. I'm just going to leave my white thread in for all of these steps, and then we'll change to red here in a minute. So the background, and then number 4 is the quilting. Now, so I digitized the quilting, and I did this for the quilt as well. I actually digitized the quilting in Design Center in the machine. I like the way the quilting is in one continuous line in the machine. When I do this in the software, it's hard to describe. It likes to try to put a line around the whole or partial line around the middle, around the design in the middle. And I don't like that look. So I like it to just be open in the middle so that the design can go in. So that's the way the machine thinks when it does, when it digitizes the stippling. So that's what I did, is I digitized it in the machine, and then I saved it to a stick. You have to import it into PE Design to make it into a PES file, a stitch file, and then I added it to my design. So that's how I digitized the stippling, and I did that to the quilt as well. So all of those quilt stippling, that I digitized all the quilting for you for the quilt. May your days be merry and bright. And so I did the same thing there, is I did all of the designs in the machine and then brought them into my software and added them to the rest of the design. So it's leaving a nice little spot in the middle to put our Redwork. Oh, Bernadette, you said something. Yes, Tim told me that today. I haven't really heard anything, and he hasn't either, but it sounds like there might be something coming out, and maybe a new sewing machine. I'm not sure. He wasn't for sure, but it should be coming in, I think he said it's around the 12th or so of August. It's the middle of August that they're going, that the schooling is. So it's done in Austin, I think, this year. All right, so now we're ready for step number 5, which is going to be our Redwork. So let me get my red thread here. And this was just my white brother thread. The red I'm using, I think, is 800 red. I'm not sure. Let me look and see. That's the one I chose. Yeah, just the 800 red that I use quite often for things. I love Redwork too. I've always loved to do it. And I'm going to do something else in like Redwork or Blackwork before too long. And I haven't started that yet, but I'm working on some new digitizing designs. So. Oh, thanks, Nancy. I'm sorry it took you a little bit to find it. Okay, so now we're ready for step number 5, which is the actual little Redwork design. So this was digitized in the Perfect Embroidery Pro software. So if you're interested in learning how to digitize Redwork, I did a class, and I also have that linked in the description below this video. So to show you how to digitize Redwork. So if you have that software and you want to know how I digitize these, it's really fun and it's not real hard to do. And so I had a video on that. So I also have that listed, linked in this description of this video. So you can watch how I do it. Yes, and you could do it in blue. You could do, my friend Lynn is here. Lynn did my Merry and Bright quilt. She did hers in gray, red, and black. And then my friend Judy did hers in blue, and it was beautiful. And one of the gals, what was the other colors that people used, Lynn? There was another gal that did another color that was so cool on it. So I did mine kind of traditional. You know, the little quilt behind me is not as traditional. The one that I did for the class was actually like in greens and reds and kind of burgundy and reds. Yeah, it sounded like it was going to be maybe, well, Tim thought maybe an embroidery only. So I don't know what the new machine is going to be. And then maybe a new sewing machine. So, but yeah, see, green would be really pretty. You could do greens and then use green thread for the you know, the design, the Redwork or outline design. But this is really fun. So basically what we did in the digitizing video is I have my little graphic. You know, I have this little picture. It's like a coloring book pages, by the way, work really great for this kind of stuff. And I really like the to kind of just draw over those kind of things. And so I drew over the little graphic, and then so there was multiple pieces of drawing here. And then what I do is I like select everything and make it into like, and what they do, what they call combine. So you combine the whole thing and then it's just one piece then. And it's really not hard to do this. So I have a lot of fun doing Redwork. It's something fun just to sit and make. So I used to do a lot more Redwork, and I missed it. And my little May Your Days We Marry and Bright quilt was the first one I'd done in a long time. So here's his little eyeballs. And he has a little glint in his eye, so we're going to put a white back in a minute here to do the little glints in his eyes. Because he has to have personality, you know. Isn't he cute? I thought he was cute. But coloring books make great things to use for templates to draw around and stuff, because they're just outlines, and then you can go in and fill them. Like I can have drawn this all in and made an outline, and then I could have filled it in with color too. So it just depends on what you want to do with it. Okay, so now we got to get the little glints in his eyes. And that's step number 6. Okay, so let's get the white back in here. I can also thread this machine much faster. The Avenir still has that, you know, it has that, the cutter is like way back here. I have a really hard time with it yet because it's just not natural for me. And I've threaded this machine so many times, so sometimes it's hard for me to get it threaded. I think I'm going to get one of those little stick-on cutters that go over on the side of the machine, and so I don't have to reach back. It's like behind the needle threader. So, oh, a Christmas variegated. It might look okay, Krista. I'm not sure. You'd have to try it, because depending on how close the variegation is, you know, sometimes you have a lot of white and then a lot of red, so it might be a little too far apart, but not all thread is like that. So it depends. Okay, so here is our little penguin. He has a little hair sticking out of his eyeball here, so we'll trim that off. The other one's okay. There we go. So what do you think? Wasn't that easy? 6 steps. You got the whole center of your little penguin pillow. Okay, so let's see what it says to do now. So after we do that, I'm going to remove the design from the hoop. And then I'm going to trim the center panel through all the layers from the background tack down, a 1/4 inch from the background tack down line. So this tack down line that went all the way around, I'm going to trim that a 1/4 inch out. Okay, so I'll go run over to my table and do that. And then the square should measure about 6 by 6 when it's done, because this square, originally the design's 5.5 by 5.5, so it's about 1/2 inch bigger when we trim it off. Okay, so we're going to go through all the layers all the way around a 1/4 inch from this line right here. I don't know if you can see it too well, because it's in white. So this line right here, we're going to go 1/4 of an inch from that. Okay. So if you give me a second, I'm going to run over to my table. I'm going to trim this off. So we'll take it out. So he's all quilted and everything. He's ready to go. What do you think? I thought he turned out really cute. Okay, so let me go trim him up just a second. So there he is. He's all ready to be sewn together. So what do you think? So see, I just trimmed 1/4 of an inch through all the layers all the way around. So now he measures about 6 by 6. I think I've got a little ruler in here. We can just check that out. I think he's about 6 by 6. Yep. So this is a 6.5 inch ruler, and he's about 6 by 6. Okay. Yeah, Redwork done in the embroidery machine, Mary, is very easy. I love Redwork. I never have been a big hand embroidery person. I have very poor hand stitching because I'm left-handed, I think, and no one could ever really teach me very easily left-handed. So I don't have very pretty stitches when I do embroidery by hand. So I love my embroidery machine. Okay, so let's see what it says to do next. So this is in the assembly of the pillow. Okay. With right sides together and using a 1/4 inch seam, we're going to sew one of the 1 3/4 by 6 inch borders to the left side of the center panel and one to the right side. Okay, so we're going to get switched over here and we're going to do some sewing. So when I sew, remember I told you I had my tight bobbin case in here because I was using a pre-wound bobbin. So I'm going to pull this bobbin case out. So there's the dot in it. Hope you can see it. Okay. I'm going to put this up here and I'm going to put my regular bobbin case back in because that's the one. Second, I got a thread stuck in my cutter over here. Grab that out of there. I'm going to put my regular bobbin case. This is the one that has like the green paint on the screen. Can you see it? I'm going to put this back in my machine now since I wound a bobbin of my cotton thread to use for this. So I'll put that one back in. Okay, so I'm going to get my embroidery thread off here. Let's see, where did oh, here it is. So I've got some white Pima cotton thread that I'm going to use for the sewing. So put that in the bobbin. And then this is my thread. So it is, this is the only thread I buy somewhere besides at Shield Sewing Center. This is actually Pima cotton thread that I buy at Hobby Lobby because I've been using this for many years, and it's just a really nice thread. It's very smooth. It's not linty, and it has a little body to it, and I just really like it. They don't have too many colors anymore, but I've been using it for quite a long time. All right, so I threaded the machine with my cotton thread. Now we have to switch over and put the sewing foot on. So we're going to do some sewing now. Give me a second to find my screwdriver. I like to use a nickel for my screwdrivers. Okay, and then I'm going to put my regular foot and ankle on. And get it tightened up here. Go. Okay. And then, yeah, I've really liked this thread. Like I said, I'm not a big hand to buy thread anywhere except at the store. Tim and I have worked really hard to pick out threads that are good for the machines, and we only have certain threads. But this is a thread that I've never had any problems with, and I really like it. So, and they only have about 10 colors now, 8 or 10. They used to have a lot more. So I'm going to plug my foot controller in now. Give me a second. Got my foot changed. So let's go over here. We're going to get back to the sewing side of the machine. Hit the home button. And I'm going to go to sewing. And then my arm, I'm just going to leave my arm on because he's not so big that I can't do that. And I'm going to go ahead and I like to go to the Q tab. Why is it called Redwork? Well, it's like an outline design, and traditionally it's often done in red, but sometimes the black colored ones they call black work, sometimes blue work if you do it in blue. So that's why this is called red work, because it's an outline and it's done in red, but you could use other colors and call it whatever you'd like the color is, that kind of thing. So yeah, the trusty nickel. No, Maureen, we do not carry Pima cotton at the store. I have never been able to find a Pima cotton thread that I can buy for the store, and that's why I still buy it at Hobby Lobby. I used to buy it from Craftsy, but Craftsy doesn't really carry, they don't carry like physical product anymore. They just have the classes. So I used to buy it there, and that's how I got started using it. And then Hobby Lobby started carrying it. So I do really like it. And they don't have as many colors. I had a couple friends get me a whole bunch of colors when they were selling them out. So I have a lot of colors of it in plastic boxes to keep them safe. So I do have a lot of colors, but they only have about 10 colors now. But most of them are the ones we use the most: white, cream, tan. I think there's yellow, or no, I think there's pink, blue, black, white, just the basic ones, a nice gray, that kind of thing. So do I always use cotton thread? No, I don't. In this case, I usually do when I'm quilting something. You could use a polyester thread on this as well. So either one would work just fine. I happen to have cotton thread that was laying on my table, so that's what I used, but either one is fine. I use cotton thread normally when I'm piecing, though, because I like it's also thinner, and it when you turn your seam allowances, it's a little thinner thread, so it doesn't impede your 1/4 inch seam. So I like cotton thread. So okay, so we're going to we're going to go in here. I like to use my piecing stitch, and that's on the Q tab on most of the machines. And then if you don't have a machine that has a Q tab, it's going to be probably in the normal stitches towards the end of it, maybe. So I'm going to do Q02. And what it does is it moves the needle over to the right. So here's my J foot, and it told me to use my J foot. Yes, I think Superior Threads does have Pima cotton. I don't really have access to those, so that's why I've always used this. So I am going to, you can see my needle is slightly moved to the right. And what I'll do now is I'll use the J foot, and I'm going to run my fabric right along the edge of my foot here to get my 1/4 inch seam. All right, so we need to find our borders. Just a second here. Get my instructions here so I know what I'm doing. Okay. Okay. Yep, the neighbor always knows when I'm teaching a class because he's out there mowing and the grass is like super duper wet. But he's out there mowing when I teach a class. It's just Murphy's Law. Okay, so we're going to do the 2 short ones first. And I think I put, on mine, I put the red on this side of the pillow, and then the blue on this one. Now this is a little bit directional. So I'm going to look at this to see. I think it needs to kind of go this way. So my presents are right side up. So I think that'll work. Okay. Grab a couple pins here so we can get it on here. Yeah, the guy next door, he doesn't mow very often, but he seems to always find the Wednesday that I'm teaching a class, and he's like right directly outside my window. Right now, he's like right outside my window. So hopefully you can't hear the mower too. All right, so we're going to pin this one on too. Make sure I got the presents right side up. Yep. Okay. see what we can do here. Get those on there. And this is all the instructions are in with the download, and the download for this free design is in the description below this video. So if you need to find it, just find the video and click on the description right below it, and then there'll be a link in there to it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do our 1/4" seam then on both sides of this. Oops, shut my drawer here. Okay, so here is, again, I'm using the piecing foot. No, this is the same person. He lives right next he's mowing the backyard like right next to my sewing room. So yeah, he always picks the Wednesday that I'm teaching a class. All right, so we're going to sew our 1/4" seam here. I've got the Q02 stitch, and then I'm running the edge of my foot right along the edge of the fabric. That gives me a nice 1/4" seam. Oops. Okay. We're going to cut that off. We'll do the other side. You can't hear it? Oh, good. That's good. Well, and it's funny because the guy like scalps his lawn. So when he gets done, it'll take him an hour to like do a little area that's probably 10 feet by 10 feet because he scalps it. and then he goes over it and over it and over it until it's like a 1/2 inch long. It's so funny to watch him mow. He evidently doesn't want to mow very often, so he scalps it down so low. Okay, so we'll get this one done. Okay. How many got the little girl? One of the gals is asking how many of you got the little girl ornament. So this is, I'll link this in the video below too. I don't think it's there right now, but I'll make sure that I link it in there too so you can see it. But this is the little gingerbread girl. Yeah. So then you can go with your little boy, have a little girl to go with it. That was really fun. That was a fun little project to do. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take this over to my table, and I'm just going to give it a little press open so it's nice and flat on the edges before I still go to put the top and the bottom on. Okay. All right. So let me go get that pressed. Okay. So press that out. I don't know, did you notice that my little sides were just a little bit long, so I just trimmed them off a little bit. It's okay. It'll be just fine. It'll still fit. Now we're going to do, this is step number 3. It says with the right sides together and using a 1/4" seam. Okay. So hopefully you can see me. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? It looks like I'm moving again. Let me know if you can hear me. I've been having a little bit of cable problems tonight, so I think it's because of the rain. Can you hear me now? Yep. Okay, awesome. I'm so sorry. So when I sat down, it was on, and then I looked back over, and all of a sudden it was gone. So you can see me. Okay, so just hang out with me. I'm sorry, guys. But I wonder if it's because of the rain we've had. Okay, so you can hear me. Awesome. All right, so what I did is I went over to my table and I pressed these out. I think that's where we left off. Okay. And then I trimmed. I don't know if you noticed, but the tops and the bottoms were just a little bit long. So I just trimmed them off a little bit just to make them flat across the top. Okay. So now we're going to get the longer pieces. Okay. These longer pieces. These are the ones that are 8.5 inches long. And we're going to put these on the top and the bottom. Okay. Awesome. So sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened. So, I had a little trouble when I started, but I wonder if it's because of the rain. It's been very wet, and sometimes that causes issues with buried wiring, like for internet and stuff. And I did restart my router before we started because it was acting kind of weird. And so it's been doing fine, but obviously it wasn't doing fine right there. So okay, so then let's put the blue one. I think I put the blue one on the top. Yeah, so I put the blue one on the top and I put the green one on the bottom. So yeah, so if it happens again, just hang out and I'll come back in. It came back on. So all right, so we're gonna put the little, let's see, this one's not real directional, but I think that'll work. We'll do that. All right, so we'll get this one on. And we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to stitch this on with a 1/4 inch seam. I like to put a couple pins in because sometimes I get things off if I don't pin it. So hopefully that's okay. Yeah, things happen. And I don't really have much trouble. I have some of you may have seen those commercials, but I have I'm On is the name of the company. It's very reliable. But every now and then I'll just have a day that something's goofy. And it hasn't happened, but I just wonder if it's because of the wetness. Because they might get moisture like in the lines. So, okay. So now we're going to stitch these on. I'm still using my Q02. And I am going to tie this one off just because it's on the outside border. So I'm just going to use my tie off. And then we'll stitch our 1/4 inch seam along the edges here. Oops, get my pin out of the way. Pull that one out. All right, get this one. Yeah, I wished I had somebody that could be here with me at night, like to read the questions and stuff. And yeah, Maureen, I do actually pin quite a bit. I've always been a pinner because I have a little trouble getting things off if I don't pin, especially like if I'm doing like trying to match up corners and stuff. So I like to pin. Okay, so we'll do this side. So we line it up here. Yeah, I'd love to have somebody that could be here and read the direction questions for me and then see somebody could have told me, oh, Jan, it just went off, that kind of thing. Because if I'm not looking right at the screen, I can't even tell until I look over. So the computer is like to my right. All right, there we go. And I really haven't had much trouble. Yeah, I need an assistant. Yes. I need an assistant. That is true. Okay, we'll take these off. All right, then we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to go press these out. And then there's our little top. Isn't it cute? So then we're going to put the back on. So doing these little envelope back pillows is so easy. Okay, so this is really easy. All right, so give me a second and I'll go and press these out. Be right back. Now, the one thing I have to say, I don't like to iron very much, but The one thing that my grandmother taught me about sewing, especially doing things like this, is if you press, you have a much better result. Everything lays flatter. And when you go to do the next step, everything's going to match up nicely. So I would tell you, you know, take your time instead of just finger pressing, go press it on with the iron. So it does really help a lot. Okay, so then it says to prepare, this is step number 4 on here. Prepare both back pieces for an envelope style closure. So that's what this is going to be, is an envelope style closure. And what I mean is there's 2 open pieces here, and then they overlap each other like this, and that makes it an envelope back so that it covers up the backing. Okay. So what I did is I already did part of this prep, so you wouldn't have to sit here and watch me do this. But I took one of the sides that's 8.5 inches, and I pressed it back 1/4 inch and another 1/4 inch and made a nice little hem. Okay. So that's what I did here and here. And when you're doing this, just be aware if you have something that is sort of directional. Okay, so like my background is not really directional, but some are. So make sure that, you know, they lay out nicely and they're the same direction. Okay, if you have something like that. All right, so what does it say? It says turn the fabric 1/4 inch to the back and on one 8.5 inch side. Okay, and turn another 1/4 inch and press again, and then pin and hem. Do a little top stitch, and that's what I did. I just did it in the white thread. Okay. Then it says the back pieces. So place the pillow top right side up on a flat surface. So I've got it here on my machine. Then we're going to lay our pieces right sides down. You want to have your, so if it's directional, make sure you look at your pieces, okay? But you want the hem on the inside. So I'm going to lay these right sides together with the hems on the inside. Okay, so here's a raw edge over here. We're going to match our raw edges up. Now I'm going to pin these 2. I may have to go get some more pins here. So we're going to pin these together, matching up the raw edges on the outside. Put one here. It's even matching up pretty well. Look at there. But I just love envelope back pillows. They're so easy. And yeah, you could do like a pillow with a, you could do like a, and you could do like a zipper in there if you wanted to or something. But you know, these envelope backs are so simple, and I find them so easy to do. So, all right. So then we're going to do this. Okay. Then we're going to do the same thing with the other side. So I'm going to lay this down. Yeah, my grandma, I tell you, my grandma was a pretty smart woman. And my mom sewed too, but not like grandma. Grandma was a tailor. She made wedding dresses and suit jackets and all kinds of stuff. And so she taught me a lot about sewing. And you know, a lot of her sewing was done you know, many years ago. And she sewed only on a treadle sewing machine her whole life. And but the good basic sewing practices, it doesn't matter what sewing machine you have, they're still the same. You know, like dropping your needle into your fabric before you start sewing, because that way you don't unthread your needle as easily. You know, or and then the fabric, it goes into the fabric easier, pulls the you know, the machine pulls the fabric through easier. Okay, so we're going to get this. Now I want to do one thing here. Want to make sure that I mark where these 2 pieces that of the envelope back, I want to make sure I know exactly where those are, because we're going to do something special there when we sew this together, because we want to make sure that they're strong. Sometimes I'll have a rip in these kind of pillows right in here, but I figured out some little simple thing to do to keep it from ripping. Okay. So we're going to pin that all together. So there's our envelope back. Oops, I got a piece of thread stuck here. Let go. Let go. Okay. Whoops, it's still stuck. There it goes. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we are going, it says to sew around the perimeter with a 1/4-inch seam. So we're going to do that. But this is the little trick that I have a lot of trouble when I first started making these, that I would have a spot right in here between these where the stress is, like where you're putting the pillow in, right here. I'd have a little spot that I always wanted to rip out, like right in here. Okay, so this is my little trick for that. So we're going to start there. I always start there so I remember what I'm doing. And I'm going to do my 1/4-inch seam. So I'm going to start right where one of the hems is. I'm going to tie a knot. Okay, bring this just a little closer here so you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to sew over that area until I get to the other hem over here. Okay, with my 1/4-inch seam. And I'm going to go all the way over the hem. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the backup button, the reverse button up here, and I'm going to back up over that whole area and just leave my foot right along the edge of the fabric. So in other words, I'm going to sew over this 3 times, because that way I don't have that where that stress is. I don't get that breaking, those threads breaking on me. So it's got like a triple stitch almost on it. Okay, so then I just sewed over it again, and now we're going to continue on around the pillow. So I'm going to sew up to the corner here. Oops, I don't have my pivot feature on for some reason. I don't know why. I love the pivot feature. So if you don't know what that is, this little button right here, let me see if I can get a little lower. Okay, right here, see with the little foot on it? Most of the machines have this one, the bigger machines anyway. I love that pivot. So Carol, what are you saying? Oh, I know my grandmother would, but you know what? My grandma would love the machine. So yeah, I have my grandma's treadle sewing machine in my bedroom. It's like my nightstand next to my bed. So I have her machine. I learned to sew on that machine, sitting on her lap. All right, so we're going to go around the corner. So remember, this has that little envelope, so we can just sew all the way around the outside. Okay, turn the corner. Now we're getting back to that hem again. I'm going to do the same thing. So when we get up here, I'm going to go across here. I'll take this pin out. I'm going to go across here to the other pin, because I know that's where the other hem is. I always pin right where the hem is. Okay, and then I'm going to back up over that little area. Okay, and then I'm going to go back over it again. And then I've got a nice strong seam there for that little bit of extra, that extra stress, because when you put your little pillow in and out. Okay, and we're going to go up to the corner again. And with the pivot, see how it raises the foot and dropped my needle? So if you don't use that, some of the machines, you got to turn it on each time. But like this one, it stays on until I tell it to turn off. And I've always loved the pivot, because then I don't have to touch so many buttons. Okay, so we're going down here to the other corner here. Turn the corner. And we're almost all the way around. Look at there. We did it. And then I'm going to go back up to where I started. I'm going to tie it off. I'm just going to use the tie off there. Yeah, I have grandma's treadle. Somebody said, "Oh, don't you want your mom's sewing machine too?" And I'm like, "Nope, that was the first thing out the door." She had an old yucky Kenmore. It never sewed well. And it was, so what did we sew on in the 1970s? We sewed on double knits, right? Oh my gosh, that thing would skip stitches. It was horrible. I just hated it. So no, I don't have my mom's machine, but I have my grandma's. Okay, so then we're going to turn this right side out through the envelope. So let me get my little favorite tool here, and I'll show you my little trick for that. Somewhere in my little drawer here is my tool. My Floriani tool. I hope I haven't lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. It likes to go to the bottom. It's heavy. Oh, the Irish blessing one. Yeah, you know, that was one of my favorite pillows. And I'm not Irish, but I just thought that one turned out really cute. I like it. I always like the Irish blessing. So okay. So then when we go to turn this right side out, we're going to turn it right side out. So the other thing that my grandma told me, don't cut across those corners, because if you cut across the corner, the first thing, and I can guarantee you, because I've learned by experience, the first thing that's going to happen is if you put anything in that corner, it's going to go right through the end and make a hole. Okay, so we're not going to cut those corners. We're going to make the corners like this. So I'm going to take my first finger, I'm going to put it up in the corner. So one of the corners like this. I'm going to pull the seam allowance down to where the stitching line is. Okay. And then I'm going to push it in to the other side. So I'm making the corner. See how I made the corner? And then I'm going to turn it right side out, and look, that perfect corner. And I don't even have to, I didn't trim it at all. So we're going to do another one. So this makes your corners look really nice, and they're always nice and flat. So I'm going to pull that down. Okay. Then I'm going to push that in, and I've got them right on the seam lines in the corner. So we're basically making the corner. Hold it with your thumb and then turn it right side up. Yeah, my grandma's machine would be over 100 years old now too, because my grandma would have gotten that machine in about 1920, maybe 24. I think she was married in 1924, so I'm sure she would have gotten it about that time. Okay, so we're going to turn this down to the seam allowance, push this into the seam allowance, so you're making your corner like that, and then turn it right side up. And then you make that beautiful, see, it's a beautiful straight corner. Okay, but don't cut the corners, because if you cut the corners, you're going to go through them. I do every time. And I'll show you how I'm going to use my other little tool. So I've got that marked like this. And I even do this with heavy stuff, and it works just fine. Okay, so then I'm going to take my favorite tool. This is the Floriani Precision Turning Tool. Love the thing. I think I might have some at the store, but I think I also have some of the OESD ones, which are nice. And see, I just gave it a little push, and I didn't go through the corner. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here, just to make sure it's nice and flat. I'm going to go through the other side, the other corners, like that, and like that. And just make sure they're nice and flat, and look at there. So then what I'll do is, I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to show you with the other one that I have done. But what I like to do is, first I'll take my thumbnail and just go along the seams along the outside edge. I kind of roll it forward to make sure that that seam starts flattening out. And then I'll take this over to my iron and press it nice along the edges. The OESD one works, it does. I happen to have the Floriani one, but I know I've got the OESD ones in the store too. So they're very similar. The other OESD one might have something on the other end. I can't remember if it has something on both ends. I haven't looked at it for a while. Okay, so we're going to do that all the way around. And then I'll take it over to my iron, and I'll press this so that it's nice and flat along the edges. Okay. Yeah, I love that little tip, and that was something she taught me. Oh gosh, I was a little girl when she taught me that, because she saw me making a pillow or something, and she saw me cutting across the corners, and she said, "Oh, Jan, don't do that. You'll go through the corners." And you do. You know, even if you're very careful, sometimes you do. So I always have done that, and see how perfect those corners are. And I haven't even pressed those yet. Look how straight that is. So it works really great. It has a big ball. Oh, the OESD one has two sizes of ball ends. So this one has just one, and that one has two. Okay. Yeah, I haven't looked at it for a little while. All right, so there's our little pillow cover. So this is the one that someone's going to win tonight, and I will press it before I send it to you. But it's easier for me just to ship the little pillow cover instead of the whole pillow, if that's okay. And I'll show you how then to make the cover, or the pillow form, if you don't have one. The little Kimberbell, the little 8x8 ones will fit in here. But if you want to make your own, let me show you. Where did I put them here? Must be up here. Just a second, I can't reach it. Oh, here it is. All right. So what I do is I use muslin or some sort of a nice cotton fabric, just like a simple like cotton fabric. This is muslin, and I cut them for this size. I cut them 8.5 by 8.5. Okay, and then I just take a 1/4 inch seam all the way around the little two little pieces of fabric. So just sew around 1/4 inch seam, and then I leave a little space at the bottom, maybe about 2-3 inches long, so that I can turn it, and then I just use some stuffing, and I stuff it, not lightly. You don't want it to be too fluffy, but I just use 8.5 by 8.5 inch pieces of muslin work really great to make your pillow forms. And I make almost all my pillow forms because this fabric is way more durable than the little pillow forms you buy, because it's that little soft netty stuff and it just doesn't hold up. So this holds up really well, because if you're going to haul them in and out a lot. So let me show you this one. So here's the one I made. I just used regular like polyfill. I use a different brand of stuffing because polyfill makes my hands itchy. So I usually use Morning Mist, I think is what it's called. I get it at Hobby Lobby. It's in a box. Okay, so here's the little pillow form. So see, I sewed all the way around the edge. Here's where I just left a little opening here to stuff it. And then I just whip stitched it shut. And there's my little pillow form. And these are nice and sturdy, so you can take them in and out of your pillows. Sometimes I have 5 or 6 different pillows, and I just take it in and out all the time. I've got one on my couch, and I leave all my little bench buddies out by the month, and then I have one pillow form. So then you don't have to worry about ripping into your pillow form or anything. Okay, so this is the little pillow form. So 8.5 by 8.5 inches, just 1/4 inch all the way around. Leave a little opening, stuff it, and sew it shut. And that's all you need to do a pillow form for that. Okay, so there's our pillow form. I'll put this in here. Let me show you this one. This is the one I haven't pressed yet, but I'll press it before I send it to somebody. So we'll see what it looks like all in the little pillow. And it pulls in. Oh yeah, I make most of my pillow forms because pillow forms are kind of expensive, and I did so many of these little bench buddies. And if you haven't seen those videos, I did all of the Kimberbell bench buddies. It took me a year. We went through every single one of those, and they were so much fun. And so I made all of these little pillows, and I made most of my pillow forms. So there's the one we just did tonight. He's all ready to go. I'll press him up nice before I send him to somebody though. So I'll just send you the cover. It's just easier to mail than the whole pillow. So, and you can make your little pillow form to put in. You practice. All right. So there's our little prize for tonight. Okay. So we'll do a drawing here in a few minutes. Hopefully my drawings came back. Just a second here. Let's see if it came back. Yeah, I think they came back. When we went off, things were a little weird. So if you haven't made a comment for a little while, make sure you make a comment to enter for the drawing, okay? Because it might have canceled them out when it went dark for a few minutes. So if you haven't made a comment for a little bit, yeah, isn't the stipple cute? Yeah, I like the stipple too. But make sure you make a comment if you haven't done one for a while, because it may not have shown up in the giveaway. So, okay. So this will be our prize tonight. Now I want to show you though what we're going to do next week. So remember, we are going to have class on the 6th. And I've got another free design for you. And what this is, these are fun. These are super fun. And I made a gob of these over the years. These are called dishcloth scrubbies. So it's a little dishcloth here. Okay. Just a little, I think I probably got the dishcloth at Walmart, someplace like that. Okay. And it's an applique, but you take that hard netting and you use 8 layers of that, and it makes it into a little pot scrubber. So you can use a dishcloth, and you can make these, and they make great gifts. They make great shower gifts. They make great like little gifts like for bazaars and craft shows and stuff like that. And so this is what we're going to do next week. And I've got 2 more sets of these that are going to be available for you too. I'll get them up on my website. I haven't quite finished them up yet. I'm still working on the instructions, but these were something that I started doing maybe almost 20 years ago. These are so much fun, and they were just fun to do. So I've got 2 more sets of these for you, and then this is your freebie. So this will be in, I'll put this in the description below this video too, so you can see if you're watching this video and you want to get this free design. It's up on the group, and it's on the YouTube channel too. Okay. So this will be what we'll do next week. It's called a dishcloth scrubby. So we're going to make that and you get a free design. Okay. So I'm going to have a bunch of those done. I've been working on instructions. Instructions take me a while, you know, guys. Have to get them all typed up and everything. How do I come up with these ideas? Well, you know, Debbie, I've actually taught for a really long time. Where do you purchase the netting? Okay, so it is a little harder to find now, but the netting I used for this, I got at Hobby Lobby. They have about 6 colors of netting, and I was still able to get some at Walmart. And it's the harder stuff, you know, it's like the crinoline. They call it hard netting or crinoline. It's the stiffer stuff, not the soft stuff like you make bridal veils out of. But I found some at Walmart too. So if you have a Walmart near you that has a little bit of bolted fabric yet, I actually got a whole bunch, and I got the little dishcloths at Walmart. Yes, Cindy. So these were from, this little dishcloth was from Walmart, and I got some more there the other day because I didn't have any more blue ones. So I got a couple more there the other day. So they still have a couple of colors. Yep. And you can get dishcloths anywhere. Just a simple, this is like those waffle weave ones. So, but I thought this would be fun because I haven't done any of these for so long, and they're really a fun project, and it's something simple and something you can use like for bazaars and stuff. If you need things for your church or you do craft shows, what a cute little project. And I used to put these in everybody's Christmas stockings. My dad loved these things. It's not tulle. It's called netting, and it's called hard netting. There's a couple names for it. Hard netting. So it's like the netting stuff. It's also called like petticoat netting or crinoline netting. It's the heavier stuff, the stiffer stuff. And you should be able to find it. Like Hobby Lobby had like, I think 5 or 6 colors. So you should be able to find some. They definitely had red, green, black, white. I think they had a purple, and I think they had a turquoise. It was really pretty. So they had quite a bit there. And then, and some of the Walmarts may still have it, like the one I go to in Anamosa still had some. So I was able to get 4 or 5 colors up there. And then my friend Lynn found a few in Davenport. So there are some Walmarts that have a little bit of bolted fabric left. So you might be able to find it there. And then they have it online. I found some online too, like on Etsy and different places that had more colors. There's a couple ones in one of my sets that need to be kind of tan or brown. And so I'm having a little trouble finding that color, but so I may have to order that from Etsy to get like a tan and a brown. Cause I used to make like my little gingerbread men and stuff like that with the tan and brown. So I'm going to have to go see if I can find that, but I found blues and green and orange, you know, like just local here. So I think you'll be able to find some of it. It's just a little harder without Joann's, but I didn't buy a lot of stuff there anyway. So I buy a lot of fabric other places, but that's what we're going to do next week on Wednesday nights. So, okay. So what do you think? Let me flip the camera back up. What colors will we need for the other designs? Here, just a second. Let me turn the camera back up, and we'll talk about that a little bit. I use a variety of colors for these. Second, I got to get to the right microphone and the right camera. Oops, second here. They changed my interface, so I have a harder time finding the cameras now. There we go. Okay. So I have like blue, I have orange, red, green. Those are some of the other colors. Yellow, I'm having a little trouble finding yellow. And then there's a kind of a tan brown, and that's the other color I'm having a little trouble finding. So I thought I might try ordering some like on Etsy or somewhere. So there's some Yeah, and just check out some of the other small craft stores because some of them may have the netting too because they may use it for like different projects. So, but I found some online also. So just look around, but they call it different things. They call it like I said, hard netting, hard tulle netting, and it's just stiffer than some of it. Did you make the parking quilting sign? Oh, no, I didn't. That was from, did you see that? I love that thing. Did you see that? Parking for quilters only. Violators will be pressed to the dark side. So I got that from Missouri Star. I thought that was really cute. I always have it hanging in my sewing room. I like that. Okay. So this is going to be the gift giveaway tonight. So whoever gets this, and again, I'm going to take the pillow out and I will just send you the pillow cover. Okay. And you can make your own little pillow for it. So let's see who's going to win tonight. What do you think? I got to get over and everybody's making comments. That's good. So I'm going to hit the draw button. Let's see who wins. And you do need to be in the United States. I've got a couple of my Canadian friends on here. So you do need to be in the United States for this. Okay, so Barbara Nance. Barbara Nance. So let me get my little thing. So Barbara's the winner. And if you would email me at this email at janshieldssewing@gmail.com, I will send you this little pillow cover. So Barbara Nance, you are the winner tonight. Okay, so email me with your mailing address and I will send it to you via mail. So, okay, so congratulations, Barbara. I think you're still here. Oh, there she is. Yep, I see her. So yeah, so go ahead and send me an email to the email you can see on the screen here. And then I will, or you can message me through Facebook too. But you can email me and then I will send you your little pillow cover. So you're the winner of the pillow cover. So remember, if you're interested in the quilt, go to my website and I'll put that one back up for you too. So here's the website. So if you want to get the May Your Days Be Merry and Bright quilt to go with your pillow, then you can go get that on my website. And it's the whole thing, all the quilting, all the instructions. There's videos and everything that are not live. And then I also had a whole live set of videos too. So there's 2 sets of videos also. So, okay. So remember, we have class next week, next Wednesday, and we'll be doing the scrubbies. And you can download your free design. I'll get all that linked in the video below here when I get done here tonight. And then we will have some fun with our scrubbies next week. And those are all done in a 4x4 hoop. So you don't need a very big hoop for those. So, okay. So everybody have a good week. And I will see you next week to make some more fun projects with our scrubbies. So thanks, everybody. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.